Hello! As Britain edges towards the end of lockdown, we thought it was about time we turned the spotlight on the thousands of everyday heroes and heroines who between them have raised millions of pounds for charities across the country. So welcome to a feel-good celebration of some of the most hard-working, imaginative fundraisers over the last few months. Young and old, fleet of foot and sharp of mind, together they are the JustGiving Lockdown Legends. Well, his legs are already exhausted, really beginning to build momentum for this unique Just Giving campaign. He's getting steadier and steadier on these new legs, inch by inch, day by day, just like his hero Captain Tom. He has put the great into Britain. He's smashed his fundraising tally. 23 to go. Can they do it? And he's done it. That is fantastic. This most monotonous 5-hour run has gone global. The grimace on her face now beginning to turn into a smile. The simplest ideas often have the biggest impact. Remember, this is a man still undergoing treatment for cancer. 2 flights of stairs to go. Thighs burning, calves straining. A huge temporary team effort for one of their own. And I tell you what, this retired teacher is delivering a lesson for us all during lockdown. Well, of course, we know all about the world record-breaking fundraising exploits of Captain Tom, raising £30 million for the NHS, and the Centurion thoroughly deserved his knighthood and his promotion to the rank of Colonel. But you know what? Maybe his biggest legacy was inspiring so many other fundraisers of so many ages, and that is why we have gathered here in Kent. The weather is absolutely abysmal, but the atmosphere isn't. Cameraman Chris, if you just pan round and give us an indication as to the sights and sounds here, we have hundreds of people and they're all gathered here to see the victory walk, the celebration walk of 5-year-old Tony Hudgell, the young man who has captured the hearts of a nation, because during the course of June he's walked over 10 kilometres and raised more than £1 million for the hospital that saved his life when he was 41 days old. We'll be expecting to see him in around about 6 or 7 minutes time. He'll be walking for about 10 minutes. It's been absolutely lashing it down here, but we've got a brilliant atmosphere, and I'm joined by Kat Flanagan, who's been one of Tony's nurses since he was 2 years old. And Kat, today is about being upbeat and it's about being positive. This has been a tough journey for the little lad. He's got a huge heart, hasn't he?
Oh, he does, very much so. Ever since he was a very little boy, he's captured all of us in his hearts. His achievement is amazing, just from a personal point of view. His walking is so much improved. He couldn't get very far on his prosthetic legs to begin with just a few months ago, but now he's walking so well, and just the achievement for the hospital is incredible.
Now, you've worked for the Evelina London Children's Hospital for 13 years. I gather he's a record-breaking fundraiser. I mean, at the early part of lockdown, it was all about Captain Tom, but no one individual has raised more than £1 million for Evelina, and this little 5-year-old lad has done it with the help of a nation. Just describe how difficult this journey has been for Tony, because we should focus on his loving, adoring, adopted family and the fact that he is now a happy, active little boy. But there was a time where things could have taken a very, very bad, if not ultimately bad turn.
Absolutely. His start in life was terrible. He was ever so poorly as a very young baby. He's suffered a lot as the years have gone by. He's had 2 amputations with us at the Evelina. He's had to adjust to walking on those legs with his prosthetics. And he's made an incredible achievement. We're just very proud of him.
And that must be one of the most gratifying things about your job, because you will see heartbreak and you will see tragedy, and all of you at the NHS have done such an incredible job during lockdown. But there are positive moments, and I guess seeing all that he's achieved this month and with his own health must be incredibly uplifting and make you want to do another 13 years at the Evelina.
Oh, definitely. I love the Evelina. It's a fantastic place to work. The patients that we have, not just Tony, all of our orthopaedic family are just incredible. And it's absolutely incredible achievement.
Well, Kat, thank you ever so much indeed. We may grab a word or two with you as Tony edges towards the end of his walk. As it is at the moment, we've yet to see him here down in the park that he's made so famous. There are hundreds and hundreds of people gathering round. And I guess it's important to remember, as we do edge towards the end of lockdown, Tony isn't the only primary school boy or girl to have got busy during lockdown. After successful treatment for a brain tumour, 11-year-old Griff Crowther raised money for Click Sergeant during lockdown. His most successful campaign was a 12-hour dance-a-thon. Captain Tom's exploits have inspired many young fundraisers, including 5-year-old Frank, who has spina bifida. He walked 10 metres a day outside his house in Bristol.
He said, I want to raise £99 because Captain Tom is 99. Thought that should be achievable. I think we can get that much from friends and family.
After news of Frank's quest went viral, donations flooded in, as did a letter of thanks from the Prime Minister. Every day, Frank's legs and resolve grew stronger. His amazing total so far, £300,000 and counting for the NHS. Also inspired by Captain Tom was 9-year-old Man City fan Ethan Beardo, who wanted to walk 25 metres over 100 consecutive days.
It's very difficult. It's because I have tightness in my legs, so it's harder for me to walk than other people.
When news of Ethan's understated courage and dignity reached the club, they invited him to finish his epic task at the Etihad Stadium. His final walk, which coincided with his 10th birthday, was live on Good Morning Britain and helped his fundraising tally close in on £70,000. The young man with cerebral palsy will be back at City as a mascot when lockdown is over. At just 10 months old, Harmony Hall lost both arms and legs to meningitis. Happily, she's now a thriving bundle of energy, and she threw herself into a series of 2.6 challenges.
What is your motto? Never
give up.
She just never gives up, do you?
No, I never give up.
Harmony's running, jumping, gymnastics and singing was a huge success.
Thank you so much.
It really has been an absolute pleasure to see those young fundraisers over the last couple of months. We've been blown away by their dedication and their enthusiasm for their chosen causes. We are back here in Kent. I'm joined by Janet Powell, who's Director of Nursing. She did ask me to clarify that. She's not the overall boss, but I reckon she's pretty important. Director of Nursing at the Evelina. And Janet, we're talking about this fantastic young 5-year-old lad who has gathered hundreds and hundreds of people here, and there have been thousands, tens of thousands blown away by his spirit for life. Give us an idea as to what difference £1 million and counting, you can donate on Just Giving throughout the course of this programme and over the coming days, what difference £1 million will make to Evelina this year and next year?
So it will make a tremendous difference, not only this year, next year, but for a long time to come. It really is a legacy that the children of South East London and the South East Network really deserve, to be able to give children world-class care with world-class equipment. We're not quite sure what it will go on, but it's really important that everything is so expensive. What we do really want it to be, though, is a legacy for Tony, that when he gets older he can look back and say, I contributed to that. And that's why it's really important that we think carefully about how that money is going to be spent, and obviously in consultation with his parents as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Paula and Mark are clearly so proud of Tony, and I was lucky enough to do a Zoom interview with them. We couldn't do it face to face. It's so nice, by the way, to be around everybody again, albeit I'll try and remember the 2 metres. It's so obvious that they're so proud of him, and it's nice that you're making the decision to include the whole Hudgell family in how that money is spent.
It is. So we have looked at a variety of options of what we might be able to spend this money on, and we obviously want it to be something that is lasting, because we were talking, Tony is only a little boy now, but he needs to be able, when he's older, to look back and realise, I did that. It's really important, because he's still got a long journey ahead of him to recover, and he needs to have some benefit to the money that's been raised as well.
The publicity around this has been absolutely incredible, and there is applause because Chris, just pan round, the star man has just arrived, ready for his walk. He's had messages of support and congratulation from Frank Lampard, from David Walliams. It's been absolutely incredible, and 5-year-old Tony is here, ready for his last walk. He's got his Spider-Man wheelchair. There's so many people gathering round here. It's going to be absolutely amazing when he edges towards the finish line. We are spitting with rain. Thanks very much for now, Janet. We might see you again towards the end. Tony's just going over there to be introduced to the crowd. People are trying to keep 2 metres away, but there is such a feel-good vibe around here. There really is. We are peppering our programme today with a reminder that although Tony is the star of the show here, as we edge towards our Lockdown Legends conclusion at the end of June, there are so many people who've been doing so many things to raise money for a whole host of great causes, and Tony is not the only person to have done a poignant walk this month. Well, what a story and what a journey. Like tens of thousands of others, Danny Watts should have been in the London Marathon today, but wearing the number that would have adorned her wheelchair, she's walking across the garden, 26 steps. A symbolic moment for her and all the family, 3 years after the rugby accident, which took her life down a different path. She's raising money for the Injured Players Foundation, who've been at her side every push and every step of the way. A shining inspiration for her 2 children, an independent, hard-working mum, and here she is, refusing to be locked down by circumstance. Danny Watts, an example to us all. For 73-year-old Tricia Rusling, loneliness was one of her lockdown challenges.
I mean, I'm a people person, so the no people in my life type of thing has been very hard. So therefore, when you need something to focus on, and it gave me something more than just something to do. It gave me a purpose that was of use.
Well, here she goes, the plucky septuagenarian who's been dealing with rheumatoid arthritis for 3 decades, but she's undeterred in this her daily task of 26 laps. The retired teacher's delivering a lesson for us all during lockdown, even a little spring in her step, and this is brilliant for St Christopher's Hospice. When John Griffin was taking his wife a cup of tea, he had an idea.
And I said, by the end of the lockdown, it's going to feel like I've climbed Everest going up these stairs.
So that's exactly what he did, courtesy of 1,361 ascents of his Brighton stairs. His motivation, raising money for the local food bank. Armed with a computer program to track altitude and his dog Hounslow for company, John finally reached the summit after 4 long, exhausting days. His story went worldwide. The donations went to the Trussell Trust. The glory, well, that was all his, and thoroughly deserved. Welcome back to Kent, where we have finally, I mean, it is hard to track this lad down. He is the star of the show. There are hundreds and hundreds of people here gathered round to see Tony. He's a little bit overawed. He's got 1 walk to go, and this must be strange. He's at the reception in Discovery School. Tony, there's so many people here to watch you. Are you ready to finish all this walking? Has it been a bit tiring?
Yeah.
There's so many people have wanted to talk to you, and I guess one of your favourite moments must have been hearing from Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
And the last little walk today, any more walking planned tomorrow, or do you think you might have a day off?
Day off.
Okay, let's move on to Paula. Paula, I'm not surprised you're getting a little bit emotional, because I guess, you know, when you're doing Zoom interviews and you're talking to people remotely, you get some flavour as to the impact of Tony's story, but this is where you live. This is your community. These are your people, your friends, and then some. It must be absolutely incredible.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just overwhelmed. The love and support has been amazing throughout, and yeah, I am pretty choked actually.
Do you know what I love about your story? It's so British, because if you go on to the Just Giving page, you'll see that the initial fundraising target was £509, not 500, 509, because you hit the wrong button and you just decided to carry on. At no point in your wildest dreams could you have imagined that your young man would be a millionaire fundraiser. It's unbelievable.
Totally unbelievable. I still can't get my head around it, to be honest. It still doesn't seem real. I'm just so incredibly proud of him, and everything he's done. It's just been amazing.
Mark, as any parent knows, the love you have for a child is utterly unconditional, but there's something that leaps off the page about this young fella, isn't there? I mean, when you first met him and you first came across his story and you decided to bring him into the love and support of your family, there must have been something in the twinkle in his eye that you knew this boy is special.
Oh yes, I mean, we fostered him first, and we didn't want to see him go into the system, so we had a little family meeting, and within minutes we decided to adopt him, and it's been brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
Right, your public await. Chris, just pan round as Tony, go and enjoy your final walk, and we'll try not to ask you too many silly questions, sorry. Chris, just pan round and give us an indication. We've got crews here from Good Morning Britain, BBC Breakfast, local BBC, local ITV. It really is an event that has captured the public's imagination. And do you know what? It wouldn't be Britain if it wasn't absolutely lashing with rain. Tony's heading off over there. We promised you that we'd give you an update as to a few different fundraisers. Today's about walking, but here are three guys who were running, and between them, they covered 340 kilometres. One of the first lockdown challenges came from James Campbell, who dared social media to make him run a marathon on April Fool's Day.
It hit 10,000 retweets and it had gone absolutely mental, so less than 2 dadays later I was running up and down my garden.
Well, the joke's been on him today, and what a way for this former international javelin thrower to celebrate a 32nd birthday. Amazing effort from James Campbell, no endurance training whatsoever, he's really going for it here. The true beneficiaries will be the NHS. He's raised a fortune already, and he's done it.
And we've done it!
Come on!
James Campbell from Cheltenham completes the 6-metre garden marathon challenge.
£29,000 raised, and he'd sown the seed for others. 77-year-old Jim Edbrook became a back garden legend by raising money for Southend Hospital, where he was incredibly impressed by the staff looking after his chemotherapy treatment. And 32 laps a day is a serious challenge.
And that nursing, the dedication of it all has been fantastic. They're giving up their possible lives to help me, and I've come away with that. That really gets to me.
And so to the final day of this epic undertaking by a proud grandfather of 4, edging towards his own homemade finish line, rolling back the years in style, 26.2 miles in his own back garden, and he's done it! Superb! Haroon Moto ran the equivalent of 6 marathons on the canal towpaths around his home during Ramadan. 10k a day whilst fasting put huge demands on his body.
My mouth is totally dry, and you're thinking about food. This was a real test of not just physical strength and endurance, but very much mental strength.
And that strength and dedication resonated around the world as donations poured in. More than £50,000 raised for the Penny Appeal, supporting people facing crisis, war and displacement. A fantastic cause and a fantastic achievement. Welcome back to Kent, where 5-year-old Tony Hudgell is approaching the finish line of his celebration walk. He's a touch overawed. There are people in tears here on the streets where he started off hoping to raise £509, a record-breaking fundraiser, a little lad who has endeared himself to a proud and grateful nation. 41 days old, his was a beautiful light, almost extinguished, and yet somehow the doctors and nurses at the Evelina London Children's Hospital kept him alive. His dad Mark there under the finish line with grey t-shirt, incredibly emotional. Tony going over for a hug. These are the positive images we should all remember from lockdown. The NHS have dealt so incredibly with the tragedy, but we've seen time and time again the sense of community spirit that is alive and well in so many corners of Britain. We promised you that we would give an overview of all the fundraising. I tell you, I've rarely been closer to tears watching something unfold live behind us as that. It was absolutely amazing. We will return for the big presentation for Tony, and hopefully we'll hear from his consultant. We focused on walking, we focused on running, and we focused on children. But all the challenges that have taken place on the JustGiving Lockdown Legends have been amazing, and not all of them have been physical. Here are a few who've really used their imagination to raise money for their chosen charities. Sonia Chowdhury's fundraiser was to cook and deliver curries in her local area.
I went running round the square late in my gym kit, headband and apron. People were out clapping and cheering me on.
When Sonia first had the idea, little did she know she'd be cooking more than 170 curries. A great way to raise money for ME and a fantastic sign of lockdown community spirit.
I'm a portrait photographer anyway. I do lots of families, and quite often when I do my families I get them to stand on the doorstep because the front doors can look really pretty. I just had this brainwave. I thought, well, I could still do that at a safe distance. I wonder if people would donate to charity, but I don't think I anticipated just how busy and how popular it was going to be.
In total so far, Jenny has met up with more than 400 families on their own front doorsteps, and she's inspired other photographers to take her idea and recreate it for different charities. A superb total for the charity Refuge Without Leaving Home. Elsewhere in London, Kate Stevens had an original idea, a fashion show with her family to display 26 dresses in 4 minutes, a feat that requires serious attention to detail.
It is a lot harder than it sounds. We spent all Saturday practicing.
6.5 minutes in the dress rehearsal. This will need to be so much faster. Mum assisted by daughters Laura and Sophie. They're raising money for the charity SmartWorks, dressing women for job interviews to get them back into employment. They're edging towards 26. They might just do this, and that's it. This back garden catwalk challenge has been a success. Sensational. One of lockdown's more unusual fundraisers. Tony Doyle was due to be married in April, but owing to lockdown the wedding was postponed, so he and his mate Mark came up with an idea.
He just put a simple sort of status on Facebook saying who's up for not grooming for the full duration of lockdown.
With inventive posts, engaging personalities and an entry fee of just £1, Lockdown Challenge was an instant hit. What started as a simple Facebook page to a few mates turned into a group reaching hundreds of thousands. The wild hair and beards were fun, but the mutual mental health support within the group was invaluable for all of them. A cut above the rest. So many great fundraisers doing so many great things. Welcome back here to Kent. It has actually stopped raining, and I've got an opportunity to speak to two of the men who've been responsible for keeping Tony alive. Now, these guys are normally pros and they never get emotional, but I think there was a tear in the eye of Drs. Saeed and Kokonakis. Dr. Kokonakis, if I may start with you. Children have a natural inbuilt resilience to difficult periods, but I think even you would admit, having dealt with thousands of children over, decade plus of great service, there's something special about that lad. There is a glint in his eye.
There's no doubt. Tony is a very special little boy. He's worked so incredibly in the last 30 days. doing an amazing thing. You know, in days of a crisis and a total lockdown, he showed us that we can believe in ourselves and achieve great things like Donny did. He's a huge inspiration to us all for what he's achieved. And we're extremely proud of him and his achievements.
Dr. Saeed, I guess it makes the job worthwhile, because I'm sure there are days where you have to deal with tragedy and go home and process that. But there are days like today where you look at that little boy and you know that you guys, along with dozens of others at the Evelina, have helped put him back on the road to a healthy, happy, cheeky life.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes our job worthwhile doing what we're doing. And children like Tony just inspire us every moment. And what today Tony has done has shown us categorically that we are more than what a hand or leg or whatever it is. We are a lot more than what it is. And he's stood for that, and he's achieved a remarkable feat. I think I have to say he's the remarkable child, one of the most remarkable child that I've ever seen. It's amazing what he's achieved.
Well, you can't put it better than that. And Dr. Kokinakis, amazing to have an extra £1 million+. That's £1 million without counting gift aid, by the way. That will make a huge difference to the Evelina.
It will make a huge difference, and I have to say there's a great opportunity for Evelina London Children's Hospital, together with Tony and his parents, Mark and Paula, to do something different, to do something transformational, to change young lives for the better, and create a lasting legacy in Tony's honour.
Thanks very much. I know in a minute you're going to do the presentation to Tony. Don't do it just yet. We'll be back very shortly. The rain has started to fall again here in Kent, but never mind. It's a real feel-good spirit. Now, our final set of entries are men and women who got on their bikes ready to raise money during lockdown.
Fran always wanted to ride Land's End to John O'Groats, and clearly he wasn't going to be able to do that. So we took on the challenge for him.
While 28-year-old cyclist Fran Eddles focused on his battle with brain cancer, his hometown of Tetbury took to the pavements, pathways and roads of Gloucestershire to cover the distance for him. There were 12-mile balance bike efforts. The local fire service took to their bikes in full kit. Hundreds of families and couples walked, ran and cycled thousands of kilometres.
But ultimately, we went more than around the circumference of the globe. So about 24,000 miles in total we did. It was amazing.
When this Bromsgrove-based cycle club put their minds to a challenge, they're unstoppable. In a matter of days, they were ready for the virtual ride of their lives.
Welcome to V Spring's 2.6 challenge for Primrose Hospice. 26 hours, 2,600 miles. Here we go.
Here we go.
While the leading group of riders have been in this virtual peloton almost all night, they're on course to smash their initial fundraising target for covering 2,600 kilometres, between them closing in here on a staggering 6,000 miles in 26 hours. They've hit their headlines as far away as South Africa and Australia. This is simply superb from V-Sprint. Jacob Hill-Gowing dusted off an old exercise bike he'd once used as a clothes horse to take on a challenge to ride the length of the Tour de France in aid of the big issue after befriending a local seller. Le Tour de Flat was born, and after interviews on Radio 1 and messages of support from former Tour winner Geraint Thomas, his campaign geared up for a grandstand finish. This is a guy who has smashed his target. He got on his bike on the 22nd of March to try and raise £1,000 for the Big Issue Foundation. 200 metres to go. Not only did he raise £1,000, he raised £5,000. He started today with £8,226, and here he is, Jacob Hill-Gowing, the 28-year-old from London, the senior art director at an ad agency, is the toast of a charity and a nation today. 41 days amazing. Has completed the Tour de Flat. Dr. Kokinakis is now about to make the presentation, a special trophy for a special young man. And there's his superhero t-shirt. Go, Tony, go. Tony Hudgell and his adopted family. He's been the star of the show, not just today, but across the entire month of June. As we edge towards the end of lockdown, this little guy, who stands about 3.5 feet tall, on legs he's still getting used to, has been a shining example of determination. You just cannot hold this lad back. He's a bundle of energy, and here he is, standing tall. And despite the fact that he's only in reception, he has given a lesson in lockdown to every single one of us. Tony Hudgell is a hero who will continue being interviewed and photographed over the next hour or so. It's been incredibly emotional here in Kent. It really has. One of the stars of the lockdown fundraisers. He's captured the hearts and minds of the nation and everybody gathered here in Kent today. It's been absolutely incredible. Thank you to every single person who has donated to the Evelina London Children's Hospital. You've turned him into a record-breaking young man. Chris, pan round again as we finish with an image on the man of the moment. Tony Hudgell, a proud and grateful nation salutes you.
Well, his legs are already exhausted, really beginning to build momentum for this unique Just Giving campaign. He's getting steadier and steadier on these new legs, inch by inch, day by day, just like his hero Captain Tom. He has put the great into Britain. He's smashed his fundraising tally. 23 to go. Can they do it? And he's done it. That is fantastic. This most monotonous 5-hour run has gone global. The grimace on her face now beginning to turn into a smile. The simplest ideas often have the biggest impact. Remember, this is a man still undergoing treatment for cancer. 2 flights of stairs to go. Thighs burning, calves straining. A huge temporary team effort for one of their own. And I tell you what, this retired teacher is delivering a lesson for us all during lockdown.